Welcome, muscle car enthusiasts. Today we've got a great video for you with an international flavor. In this video, we take a look at muscle cars from the rest of the world back in those glory days, with most of them unique to whatever country they were sold in. We did a video related to this one a few months back, so if you want to see even more international muscle cars that aren't in this video, check it out. So let's get traveling and go overseas, and in no particular order, take a look at those wild, exotic foreign muscle cars in Global Domination. 10 muscle cars that conquered the rest of the world. This one resembled an early 1970s US performance-oriented Ford with its stripes, scoops, and alloy wheels. It was sold in 1978 in the land down under and was all about homologation for racing, specifically for the prestigious Bathurst 1000. This is the Ford Falcon Cobra, of which only 400 were built. It's based on the XC Falcon hardtop body style and was the brainchild of Henry Ford's grandson Edsel Ford II and an Australian design team. The idea was to capitalize on Alan Moffat and Colin Bond's 1977 Bathurst win by creating a road-going Falcon Cobra inspired by the Shelby Mustang. The first prototype was built in April 1978, with production starting that July. Beneath the hood was either a 302 or 351 V8, available with a choice of either a manual or automatic transmission. All 400 Cobras were snapped up by eager buyers back then, and these days are a sought-after collector car. Some of the earlier production models with the coveted race-spec Option 97 components are approaching $500,000 in price on the resale market. We are still in Australia for this next one, and it's another Aussie terror that won the Bathurst 500 back in 1969. We're looking at the 1969 Holden Monaro GTS 350. Holden was GM's Australian brand, and as such borrowed some of its car's components from US models. The GTS 350 applied the classic muscle car formula of lightweight car plus big engine equals go fast, with its 350 cubic inch 300 horsepower small block Chevy V8 wedged between its fenders. The GTS also received a 4-speed Muncie transmission, along with special bodywork and graphics, and sweet race-ready mechanical components. Was it speedy? It had to be to win races. 0 to 60 miles per hour arrived in 6.8 seconds with a top speed of 125 miles per hour. In 1970, there was a follow-up version for the HG body style that used the same 350 engine and offered almost identical performance specs, although the 1970 HG never raced at Bathurst. Holden killed off the GTS 350 midway through the 1970 model year. This one gets our American muscle car blood pumping and makes us wonder why we didn't get it here in the US. This is the 1981 through 82 Mexican market Dodge Magnum, pretty much as it appeared on the day it was born. It looks familiar, but something is a little off. That's because it's based on the US market Dodge Diplomat Coupe that never looked this sporty when it was sold here. This one looks like it might actually have some go under the hood, and we would have assumed correctly. It came with a 300 horsepower 360 cubic inch V8 and a choice of either a 4-speed manual or an automatic transmission. Underneath was the police spec suspension package and a Dana 44 rear differential. It seemed like the muscle car beast had not been defanged in Mexico like it was in the US at the time. Let's imagine if this version of the Diplomat had made it to the US market. It might have actually been a direct competitor to Mustangs, Camaros, and Firebirds that were still selling reasonably well at the time. It's time to jump continents and get ourselves to South Africa for a car that people on that side of the world viewed as a mild-mannered executive car. Behold the 1973 Ford Granada Mark I. They usually came with 4 or 6-cylinder engines with nothing much sporty about them. That is, until a man by the name of Basil Green got a hold of them and shoved a 302 V8 from the Ford Mustang into them. Basil Green Motors was a Ford-sanctioned in-house tuning company. These cars were good for 255 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque that could launch it in 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds with a top speed of 130 miles per hour, all while backed with a full Ford warranty. These cars were seriously good. In fact, Lee Iacocca, while president of Ford at the time, requested a left-hand drive model for his personal use in the US and absolutely loved it. Ford of Germany were considering putting the V8 Granada into production to compete against Mercedes. The timing, however, was unfortunate as the global fuel crisis of 1973 slammed the brakes on the plan. Off to Brazil now. This one looks very familiar, and it should. It's the 1973 through 1979 Ford Maverick GT, a ho-hum car by US standards, but actually the most powerful and quickest car you could buy in Brazil at the time. Some people joke that they only knew what the back of the Maverick GT looked like because they could never pass one. Nobody ever said that about US Mavericks. It came with a 302 V8 generating 200 horsepower and a 4-speed transmission, with its styling accented by black graphics on its mini hood bulge and taillight panel, and with wide black stripes on the sides. At some point during the model's run, it swapped its Pinto-derived taillights for those of the early 1970s Mustang style. Pretty cool. Ford even went racing with the Maverick and factory-backed some Division III race teams where they dominated for a few years. The Maverick was never so loved as in Brazil, where it's now viewed as muscle car royalty and highly collectible. The 1971 Chrysler Valiant Charger RT E38 wasn't your average showroom offering. This homologation special, limited to just 309 units, was a rebel with a cause, and that cause was to conquer Bathurst. Starting life as a performance-oriented RT 6-pack, the E38 got a serious upgrade, a 280 horsepower racing engine, 3-speed manual transmission for maximum control, and a track pack that included better brakes, quicker steering, and a larger fuel tank for extended racing stints. The E38 wasn't just about raw power, it sported a unique blacked-out grille, stripes, and a distinctive spoiler, leaving no doubt about its racing pedigree. While victory at Bathurst eluded them in 1971, the E38, in the hands of skilled drivers like Doug Chavas and Leo Gohagen, dominated other races, paving the way for future dominance by its successors. Though short-lived, the E38's legacy as Chrysler's valiant challenger of the Bathurst Arms Race solidified its place as a revered legend among Australian muscle car enthusiasts. In South Africa, you might see a vintage muscle car that looks very familiar to Americans. The first-generation Plymouth Barracuda with right-hand drive. Although it wasn't named that exactly. Over there, it was known as the Valiant Barracuda and were sold from 1967 through 1971. So while the second-generation Cudas were pounding the streets here in the US, this is what the South Africans got with the reliable slant 6 engine. But a limited number packed a punch with the 383 V8 delivering 330 horsepower in a 7.3 second 0 to 60 time. If that wasn't enough, a select few Valiant Barracudas even wore the coveted Formula S badge, letting the world know that your Barracuda was a kingfish. Today, these cars are prized possessions for collectors, standing as testaments to a fascinating chapter in South African automotive history. This next one is a Dodge from Argentina and was sold there through the 1970s. Squint hard and it sort of looks like an American 1968 through 1970 B-body that the US Charger, Roadrunner, and Super B were based on. That was a styling trick designers used to make it look larger. This is actually the Dodge Polara GTX, based on the 4th generation Dodge Dart. The GTX was the top-of-the-line Polara and featured Argentina's most powerful engine offering at the time, the 318 cubic inch 212 horsepower V8. Their styling is quite unique, with European style headlights and 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner style taillights. They also had the cool little fender upkick style curve that the US B-body cars had. What a mishmash, but it all seemed to work. The Polara GTX is a collector's item today and represents the best Argentinian Mopar you could buy back then. Back to South Africa again to have a look at another Basil Green creation. It's a Ford again, this time the Capri Piranha V8. This South African legend wasn't just a pretty face, it was a racing machine built to dominate. Forget the wimpy 4 and 6-cylinder engines that were all you could get in the Capri anywhere else in the world at the time. This Capri packed a mean punch with a tuned 302 cubic inch monster from the Mustang, pumping out 281 horsepower. Backed by its 4-speed gearbox, it blasted off 0 to 60 in a scorching 6.1 seconds and could reach a top speed of 142 miles per hour, leaving rivals in the dust. And it wasn't afraid to show off its muscles, with its unique stripes, blacked out accents, and a louvered rear window. This wasn't your average grocery getter, it was a predator on the track, conquering races and earning a legendary status. Today, the Capri Piranha is a rare gem prized by collectors for their perfect blend of muscle car looks and championship pedigree. Mustangs and Camaro were the muscle car kings of the streets in the US in the late 1970s, but down under, it was the 1977 through 1978 Holden Tirana A9X SS. This masterpiece wasn't built for cruising, it was born to dominate the mighty Bathurst 1000. Under the hood lurked a 308 cubic inch power plant pumping out 240 horsepower, capable of launching this beast from 0 to 60 in just 6.7 seconds with a top speed of 133 miles per hour. The A9X wasn't just powerful, it looked the part. A menacing rear-facing hood scoop announced its racing pedigree, while a wild body kit with flared arches screamed race car. Available in both a stylish hatchback and sedan versions, the A9X was a head-turner on any road. Holden wasn't messing around. They dominated the track with the A9X, winning at Bathurst in both 1978 and 1979. Today, owning a piece of Australian motorsport royalty is a dream for collectors. With only a handful built, A9Xs are rare and almost priceless. Some have crossed the $1 million mark, a testament to their legendary status. So if you're looking for a car that's equal part muscle and motorsport history, the Holden Tirana A9X SS is the ultimate Aussie icon. Australia did indeed get some ripping kit. We hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Be sure to like and share this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications activated.